Two-time world champion from Brooklyn, New York, please welcome Zab Super Judah.
Judah's reported payday a relatively low $100,000, 12 times less than Spinks' $1.2 million, an indication of Judah's intense desire to get back on top. Judah, the slight underdog, a reverse of the first fight, well aware of the old boxing axiom, to beat a guy in his hometown, you have to knock him out just to get a draw. And he's made it more than clear his intention is to start faster and more aggressively than the first fight. He also said there will not be any showboating, which may have energized Spinks back into the original meeting. Coming in for what he hopes is the big payback, Zab Judah. Says he's thrilled to be in Spinks' hometown of St. Louis. The notion that all the hometown hoopla will put extra pressure on Spinks and make his job easier.
He said during the week all this would energize him when he got in the ring. We'll see if that's true.
And what's a fight without controversy? Both fighters were allowed to choose their own brand of gloves, so Spinks went with Grants. Judah prefers Reyes, which are known as knockout gloves, but eventually they made Judah wear the Grants. Back to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, making his way to the ring, escorted by multi-platinum selling recording artist Nelly, here is the undisputed welterweight champion of the world from St. Louis, Cory Spinks.
Like something out of a Hollywood movie. What a show as recording star and St. Louis native Nelly escorted the champion Cory Spinks to the ring. And it was deafening.
That's the best entrance I've ever seen in boxing.
Hard to top it. And while the sellout crowd chants Cory, Cory, we'll lead you to the tail of the tape. Let's size them up. Cory Spinks and Zab Judah for the undisputed welterweight championship. Judah just a year older than the champion. Spinks taller by a couple of inches, yet the slight reach advantage for Judah. At yesterday's weigh-in, Spinks 147, Judah 146. We weighed them about 2 hours ago. Spinks was 163, a plus 16. Judah 155, a plus 9. Spinks 8 pounds heavier than Judah. He was 11 pounds more in the first fight. And the notable unified rules for this world title fight: 3 belts at stake, no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt occurs before the end of the 4th round, the fight's ruled a no decision. If it happens after the end of round 4, they will go to the scorecards. So here at the Savas Center, the sold-out Savas Center, over 20,000 strong here in St. Louis, Missouri, getting ready for our main event, the undisputed welterweight championship, the rematch between Cory Spinks and Zab Judah. Let's get the official introductions from our ring announcer, the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the Savas Center here in the beautiful city of St. Louis, Missouri, where tonight's live audience has established an all-time attendance record, and we are ready for the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Dawn King Productions in association with the Savas Center, Showtime, and the undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This unification title bout is sanctioned by the following organizations: the WBA President Gilberto Mendoza, Supervisor George Martinez; the WBC President Jose Sulaiman, Supervisor Mauricio Sulaiman; the IBF President Miriam Muhammad, Supervisor Lindsey Tucker; and the Missouri Office of Athletics Executive Director Becky Dunn, Administrator Tim Lukenhoff. Our physicians at ringside: Dr. Reynald Caldwell, Dr. Ryan Nunley, and Dr. Gary Fetzer. Timekeepers at the bell. Also keeping count of the knockdowns, we have Steve Hawley and Jack Martorelli. Introducing to you our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Brick, New Jersey, Tom Kazmarek. From Muncie, Indiana, Gary Merritt. And from Ventnor City, New Jersey, Joe Pasquale. And our 3rd man to the ring, the referee in charge, working in this, his 30th world title bout, Armando Garcia. All right, fans, here we go with our main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world, live from St. Louis, it's showtime! Introducing to you first on my right, the challenger, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red trunks with white trim. He joins us from Brooklyn, New York. He weighed in at a ready 146 pounds. His record stands at 32 wins, 2 losses, 1 no contest, with 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight he is seeking revenge and challenging for the undisputed world title. Please welcome the 2-time champion of the world, introducing Zab Super Judah. His opponent across the ring, the defending world champion on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trunks with silver trim, fighting out of his at the welterweight limit of 147 pounds. His record stands at 34 wins, 2 losses, 11 wins coming by way of knockout. He holds the WBC, WBA, and IBF world titles. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, introducing Cory, the next generation Spinks. And once again, a referee in charge, Armando Garcia, now to give instructions.
Chief second only out of the ring. Cory, Zab, we spoke in the dressing room. I'm confident that you know exactly what I expect of you. Obey my commands and protect yourself at all times. We agreed there's no holding, so don't make me pull your guys apart. Is that clear? Right here, I'll accept punches. Right here, I'll accept punches. Good luck. May the best man win. Touch gloves.
Spinks didn't budge during those instructions. Judah hopping up and down. This is a case of both fighters knowing exactly what they have to do. Cory Spinks, even though he's the bigger guy, has to stay on the outside and box. His opponent, the challenger, Zab Judah, has to get inside and go to the body. It's a question of who can execute their plans the best. And the way the first fight ended, Judah said he's thinking of this as round 13. He says he'll start faster tonight, be more aggressive. He did not get off to a quick start in the first fight, saying he lost focus when the bell sounded. Told us he'll be extremely focused tonight because there's no tomorrow.
The interesting thing about this match, and it really fascinates me, is even though Zab Judah is the man that's come up from junior welterweight, and Cory Spinks is the true welterweight, even Spinks kind of acknowledges that if this is a brawling, punching match, it benefits Judah. So that's fascinating. And Judah made a very interesting point to us. That fight with Spinks was his very first as a welterweight. He's had a couple since, is more comfortable with this weight. We'll see if that's a big factor.
Spinks not normally a torrid starter, but he was very aggressive and assertive early in the close unanimous decision over Judah last April. Spinks started faster than usual. He says he's not thinking about that 12th round knockdown that nearly cost him the first fight. We talked about Judah's focus. What about Spinks? Could his game plan go out the window? The result of this overwhelming crowd really trying to please everybody. There's Judah going to work with the long left.
True to his word, Judah is making this fight right now. It's not that there's enormous action, but for the most part, Judah's pressing the action and trying to get to Cory Spinks, especially with that left hand.
Another thing about Judah, known for his showboating and shenanigans, he has been all business. No messing around. He knows the significance and the magnitude of this event. Judah says, I am here to take. I'm going to Spinks' backyard because I am from Brooklyn. That is what we do. I am from the home of the taking state. Well, Brooklyn's not quite a state, but it's, it feels like one. It's big enough.
Well, you're Brooklyn, right?
My hometown as well.
Now there on the inside, you see Cory Spinks landing a hook but getting right out. Spinks is a good counter puncher, but he hasn't been able to counter punch as well as he'd like so far in this round. Very close round. But not one like the first fight in which the Spinks jab has controlled it.
Judah has been the aggressor here with 30 seconds and counting in round 1. Spinks from the tough north side of St. Louis, known as the Water Tower area. Used to be very wild when he lived in the city, now more grounded with a wife and daughter. Final seconds of the opening round. Nice left hook upstairs, nice left hand upstairs by Judah.
No, come on. Time!
party time, baby. Yo, you're doing beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You got that. You know what I'm saying? Now you got what you got to do. He's gonna come out moving and running. You got to cut him off that and go to the body. This is a breakdown process, all right? Breakdown. Keep touching him. Yeah, here. Hey, out, roll. Hey, roll. All right? Keep touching him. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna grip him. I'm telling you. Keep your hands up. How you go? We get a side step.
Working, getting you rhythm, slipping and sliding, getting you rhythm. All right, and keep turning, stay in the center of the ring, keep turning. All right.
You come right, a little wide, come wide.
Right. Quick 1, 2. All right.
Kevin Cunningham, a former St. Louis policeman, former Army boxer, who opened a boxing gym in the basement of an old police building. A longtime trainer of Cory Spinks. Spinks has nothing but respect for Cunningham.
And you know, in the case of both these fighters, obviously Yoel Judah, Zab's father, he has great faith and trust in him. And as you pointed out, Kevin Cunningham, almost a father figure to Cory Spinks. So they both have confidence in their cornermen, and that's important. Also, Kenny Adams, former Olympic head coach for the United States, in the corner of Cory Spinks, adding a good hand there as well.
And a great cut man in Jim Strickland as well. So round 2 as Spinks misses.
When Spinks ducks in like that, and that's one thing they don't want him to do, that's when he gets close enough and short enough for Zab Judah to do some good work on the inside. And we have seen less of the Spinks jab here than we saw in the first fight early on. He's not doubling up with it as much as he did then, and I think that's pretty important for him to do.
Come on, punch out
Book
now.
on Judah, speedy, elusive, versatile southpaw, like Spinks, quick-handed, a lot of movement. The hand speed may be equal here. Zab may have the edge in foot speed. A lot of boxing ability. Tremendous reflexes, makes you miss, so slick and slippery. But then so is Spinks, who's an excellent defensive fighter.
Let's go, come on,
And part of the balance edge goes to Cory Spinks. And we saw Judah knocked down during the first fight, primarily because of his balance. I mean, you've seen him, you've done many of his fights, of course, here in Showtime. You've seen him go down because of that balance issue. You like the first fight. How many punches are being missed? So many were missed in the first fight in the first 5 rounds, and that was more a testimony to their defense than lack of offense, and the same could be said right here. It took them a while to find the range in that first fight.
Spinks really makes for entertaining fights, almost turns it into an art form. Tremendous hand speed. Most people, of course, like watching big punchers, but Spinks, I guess you can say he engages in battle enough to make it interesting. But by no means is he a big puncher, but an outstanding technical fighter. The ring is his office. He's so confident, so relaxed.
Let's go, come on, let's go.
Spinks working on the inside where Judah wants to be. Judah's been very inactive in this round. This is one of those rounds reminiscent of the early part of the previous fight, and he's allowed Spinks to, I think, to take control of this round after a pretty good first round for Judah.
So round 2 of Spinks Judah in the books. Spinks versus Judah 2 here at Savas Center in St. Louis is a sellout. 20,655 paid, over 22,000 overall. The folks with the promotion claim both are records for a boxing event at an indoor arena, but it's being disputed by a few factions. Of course, there have been larger crowds at dome stadiums, the Superdome, the Alamo Dome, so it's kind of a nebulous stat, but it is the largest crowd ever in Missouri for a fight.
You need to stick working a little bit more. You're letting him get in his range because you ain't using no jab. This is the job for the field, right? Just like that. He ain't throwing nothing but a left hand. You see that?
Round 3, one of the reasons for the great turnout. St. Louis sports fans really respect the way Spinks built his career here in St. Louis, took no shortcuts, many modest paydays in small local venues, worked his way to the top the old-fashioned way. He earned it. Interesting, though, despite his success, finding it difficult to get respect from the boxing world overall.
Kevin Cunningham, we heard him say to Cory Spinks, you're not using your jab. You've got to use that punch more. There's the jab from Judah. And they were talking about Judah's reliance on throwing that straight left hand, which he has tried to get in. Spinks looking to counterpunch as Judah comes in. They saw an uppercut there, but he's been unable to do that as effectively as he might.
Kevin Cunningham had a problem with the judges. Two of them were from the East. Tommy Kazmarek and Joe Pasquale, both from New Jersey. Gary Merrick from Indiana. Kazmarek, highly regarded, one of the top judges in the East.
That's an issue, though. You know, there were two issues. One was the gloves, which you alluded to. It ended up being two Grant gloves being used, not Reyes for Judah. The Reyes gloves, presumably better puncher's gloves. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen, but boxing people feel. The second was two of these judges being from the East Coast. Kevin Cunningham was livid over that. Gary Merrick from the Midwest, he couldn't understand why there'd be two judges from the East Coast in this fight. But the administrator here, Tim Lukanov, said that, well, he had to deal with the list given to him by the IBF and the other organizations, and that was the best he could do. He didn't worry about geography.
Let's go. Come on, punch out now.
Third man in the ring, Armando Garcia from Miami, Florida. Before tonight, probably his biggest fight was Roy Jones, Ricky Frazier in 1999. He did referee a couple of Joel Casamayor fights.
You know, they were on the inside there, and Zab Judah wasn't. Oh, there he goes. There's good work on the inside by Judah. Before, he wasn't willing to work on the inside. There he did.
Both have a lot of room in which to operate. A big ring, 20 feet 6 inches.
Very tough round to judge. This one is a real tricky one.
As we head for the bell, round 3.
Time!
You feel? You feel good? Excellent. Now listen to me real good. You got to start getting a little closer now. You got to start putting 3, 4 punches together. Look, that little push jab, when you see him, you see that jab? Slip it. Look, listen to me. Look at me. When you see him start to push off, left hand, keep your head behind. Once you in, don't. Let the hands go. All right, baby? Keep the pressure on, Zab.
Zab Judah, when he's on the inside here, you see he'll work on the inside and throw combinations. And that last right hook got there. That is the prototype. This is the prototype of what Zab Judah wants to accomplish in this fight. When he's in this posture, he can outduel Cory Spinks on the inside. He did that in the first fight.
Round 4 scheduled for 12 for the undisputed welterweight championship. Two southpaws, superbly skilled. Judah marching forward, but missed.
Cory Spinks is getting low a lot in this fight, kind of getting himself low and putting himself a little bit in position where things can get to him. There's a beautiful left, but a counter right by Cory Spinks, so things are heating up a little bit.
Gets the crowd going.
Zab Judah is starting to close that distance. That's what Yoel Judah told him to do, and in this round, he's doing it.
Crowd exhorting their hometown favorite, Cory Spinks. This is their Super Bowl tonight.
See how Judah gets low, and it's very tough for Cory Spinks to get to him. Spinks really needs the uppercut as an effective weapon. He has an uppercut, but it's not the major part of his arsenal.
Spinks 34-2, 11 knockouts. Judah 32-2, 1 no contest, 23 knockouts. Spinks 9-0 in St. Louis.
There's some good work by Spinks on the inside, and
Nice left hand by Spinks to the jaw of Judah.
he's starting to climb back in this round, a round in which Judah had kind of controlled it for the first portion of it. This last minute should determine who wins this round.
Don't forget, Spinks had Judah down in the 11th round of the first fight, although it was a disputed knockdown. Judah claiming that it was a slip. And then, of course, with 28 seconds left in the 12th, Judah put Spinks down. And if he had about 30 more seconds, may have won the fight. Which makes it so compelling and dramatic, segueing into the sequel.
This round is one that I think Cory Spinks took control of in the last minute. And maybe won in this round. And he's been more active.
Judah on the attack. Going to the body now. And an exchange at the bell.
You ain't gonna do shit. Move away from the man. All right? Wipe his nose, Kenny.
I got it, bro. I got it, bro.
Put that up his nose, man. You want something on your head?
On your head?
No. Listen. Listen to me. The way we went to
Zab Judah created what was a very good exchange, working on the inside, a glancing left hand. They almost clash heads, but instead it's Spinks counterpunching well with that right hand. Of course, counterpunching is his stock in trade. That's a good counterpunching right hand, a couple of them actually, by Cory Spinks. And later in the round, Cory would land the jab and the straight left hand pretty effectively as well.
Spinks showing his mastery of counterpunching as we head into round 5.
These two guys, very good family men. Zab Judah with 4 daughters and Cory Spinks with 1. They could field a women's basketball team. We saw the lovely Brianna at our fighters meeting. Cory's daughter, she's just adorable. In fact, I have a 5-year-old at home. I was thinking of doing a little matchmaking.
That's a good kid. Of course, Zab Judah from a very large family. He has boxing brothers like Cory.
Straight left hand by Spinks glancing, and Judah wants everyone to know it didn't land and shook his head. This is a fight that will be measured by inches, not feet. You know, judges have to pay attention. It's the small things that you have to look at. Judging each round is going to be very, very difficult.
No, come on, let's go.
And Spinks ducking out of trouble, so elusive.
And how do you not look at a fight like this and think maybe you might judge it on style over substance, because there's so much style involved and really only a certain amount of substance. There are only so many punches that land in a fight like this. These are two very clever, crafty lefties. This round's a perfect example. There's a couple of jabs by Spinks, but not much has gotten in.
And then Judah follows it up with a couple of jabs of his own.
Now there's what Spinks wants to do. Throw 3 punches and get out.
The epitome of the sweet science. Hit and not get hit. The mindset of both guys. Spinks off balance.
Cory Spinks has had a pretty good 5th round. Certainly not dominating in terms of large numbers of punches landed, but what has landed for the most part has come from him, and he's controlled the tempo of this round.
Judah really loading up with that left. Got him with the right, did Judah. It was more of a slapping right to the left side of Spinks' face. Didn't have full power behind it. Spinks just makes you miss. Let's see if it can make Judah pay.
Counter right hand there by Cory Spinks. It was very effective.
Great example of the way Spinks did that all night long was against Ricardo Mayorga.
Brilliant effort by Cory Spinks.
Again.
Stop punching, step back.
Spinks making Judah miss.
Time!
How about the look on Spinks' face as he walks back to the corner, looking back at Zab. Well, what's at stake here tonight? The Costa sweepstakes are a dream come true for boxing fans around the world. It makes you salivate.
You know, some fighters go their whole career without these kind of possible opponents. Some have to retire. They have no one to fight. Not true with Costa. There are lightweights that could come up and fight him, like Castillo and Corrales and Diaz. Junior welterweights to stay there, like Gaddy and Vivian Harris. And of course, we're going to see Costa against Ricky Hatton June 4th here on Showtime from Manchester, England, where this kind of crowd will be on hand for Ricky Hatton. So that should be a thrilling match.
They'll have 20,000 for that one, and that particular event sold out in 3 hours in Manchester.
Wow. Here's Judah coming in, pushing the attack, did land that straight right hand in a round in which otherwise Cory Spinks was able to counter him pretty well, but that's an example of what Judah wants to do in this fight.
And it's round 6, scheduled for 12 for the undisputed welterweight championship. From the state-of-the-art Savas Center here in St. Louis, Missouri, a crowd of 22,370, a complete sellout. Great left hand that pushes Judah back.
Both men trying to use the jab effectively. There's no question Spinks has used it less than he did in the first fight.
Now. Step back.
He was doubling up with that jab and being very effective within that first fight. It's been sporadic in this.
Spinks, although very low-key, laid back, a tough guy from the mean streets of St. Louis, had his share of street fights before entering the amateur ranks. Off a great 2004 with wins over Zab Judah and dominating victory over former champ Miguel Angel Gonzalez.
He is revered at his high school, Cory Spinks. We visited Beaumont High School. They've got a band here. He goes back and visits every single month. He goes back and visits, plays basketball with the kids, and it's.
Let's go, punch out, come on.
And when we were there doing the feature on Cory, we got to see it, and it's really remarkable.
Doesn't forget his roots, his upbringing. He's had a number of upset wins. Won the IBF welterweight belt over Michel Pizarrillo in Italy. Not an easy task. And then wasn't expected to beat Ricardo Mayorga for the BA and BC belts.
Come on, let's go. You can't do that, all right?
And then he was the underdog in the first fight with Judah, so that too an upset.
This is a very close round here in round 6. Judah has gotten a little more done in this round. And again, you're not looking at large quantities of punches landing, so it's very difficult to pick out a winner.
Can Cory put the proverbial Spinks jinx on Judah again? Alluding to his uncle Michael's vaunted right hand as a light heavy. For Cory, the money punches the left.
That combination, very showy, gets this crowd going. That's the kind of thing Spinks wants to do a lot of.
Judah digging to the midsection.
Step back. Dive!
And a smile from Zab.
catching him and finding him and firing your left hand.
We see Cory Spinks landing the counter left hand there against Zab Judah. And they are now, Spinks is really trying to hold, and referee Garcia warning them about hitting on the break. But Cory doing a little holding. And here's Cory Spinks landing that straight left hand after the jab. That was maybe his best moment in that last round, and that is something he wants to do a lot of in this fight if he can. A very, very close round, might be a pivotal one in there in round 6.
Zab Judah 2-0 since the loss to Spinks. Round 7 comes off a first-round TKO over Wayne Martell. Zab scoring 5 knockdowns in the first round, October 04. An obvious record-padding fight. And then 5 weeks after the Spinks fight, an unimpressive split decision of a 38-year-old, 19-year veteran, Rafael Pineda. Too much clowning around by Zab that night, but Zab's speed too much for the veteran. Pineda the only common opponent.
And they both had trouble with Pineda. It's a very difficult man to fight. Cory won a win in 7 over him, a technical decision win, but Pineda gave him trouble during the course of it. Stopped and cut.
2002
What are you waiting for?
Cory.
Nice right hook by Judah. It's not a punch he uses that often, but that one got in. And there's the jab of Zab Judah as well.
Judah was 28-0 before the spectacular one-punch knockout loss to Costa Zoo. Scores at the midway point from press row. Holloway has it even. Leon by 2. The other had it by 4. Lido Sainz.
I have it 58-56 for Spinks, but I assure you this could be an even fight. It could be even closer than the 2 points, because these rounds are very difficult to score. Little hook on the inside by Spinks.
It's in the hands of Tommy Kazmarek of Brick, New Jersey, Gary Merritt from Muncie, Indiana, and Joe Pasquale of Ventnor City, New Jersey. Past the midway point of the 7th round, scheduled for 12.
Now we've seen Judah with those quick offensive bursts and the fact that he's coming forward mostly in this fight. But for the most part, I think the reason Spinks might be a point or 2 ahead in this fight is because he's controlled the tempo, counterpunched fairly well, and Zab Judah's still been a little bit inactive in certain rounds.
No, come on,
when you're in the other guy's hometown, you got to do a lot more to impress the judges, I guess.
Well, I suppose.
Theoretically.
2 of these judges are from New Jersey, so in theory you shouldn't, but obviously it's, you know, there's the feeling enveloping everybody in this building, and that happens.
That's what did not sit well with Spinks' intense trainer, Kevin Cunningham.
No knockdown, no
now,
knockdown.
let me tell you a subtle thing that's happening in this fight. Zab Judah's figuring it out. He's got found a home for that right hook. It's not his major weapon, but I'm telling you, he can land it against Cory Spinks. And it's a punch I think Yoel Judah is going to remind him to keep throwing. Could be an important weapon in the rest of this fight.
If you're just joining us, no knockdowns. Spinks was going for one there with that big left. But it whizzed by the ear. A left hand that Spinks is momentarily dazed. He did not go down, says Armando Garcia as the bell sounds, but did a glove hit the canvas? Any part of the body that hits the canvas, it's a knockdown. Garcia says no.
And you fucking being like this, all right? You cannot do that, man. You cannot be lazy now. Time in this fight. You got to be boxing, dude. I don't know why you stand around like he gonna let you rest, man. He is not gonna let you rest. As long as you...
We go back and look at it at the end of the round. A tremendous left hand lands. Now the question is, was he pushed down? It wasn't from a punch exactly, but clearly the punch before that probably led to him going down. So maybe the appropriate call by Garcia, but it could have gone the other way too. Cory Spinks clearly hurt here. There's no question about that.
And obviously he did go down, but Armando Garcia is ruling that he went down after the bell. But he was dazed, and now Judah looks to pick up where he left off at the end of the 7th.
And there was this crowd gasped when that happened.
A collective gasp of better than 22,000.
There's the hook from Zab Judah. The hands are very low and no jabs from Spinks. That's why that happened. It's reminiscent of the way he was fighting in the 12th round in his match.
Judah wants Spinks to trade with him. He's trying to lure him into a brawl.
And the fact that that knockdown came after the bell, if this fight goes on to a decision, that could have been a 2-point round. So that may be an important situation.
Huge. Well, let's see how Cory Spinks, the hometown hero, responds. But Zab Judah right now just brimming with confidence. He's supremely confident to begin with. Left hand by Judah missed.
Come on.
Spinks just ducking away.
Good shots from the inside by Judah. But Spinks coming back with a counter punch.
It's all Zab Judah now, the aggressor.
Let me see. Ready to go. Let's go.
And now Spinks takes his mouthpiece out,
Watch your head.
claiming that he was headbutted. The crowd urging Spinks on. Judah looking to corner Cory Spinks.
Zab Judah told us all week, he told everybody, I can trade with this guy. He is not a knockout artist. I don't care if he's the bigger welterweight or was. I can trade with him. He's proving it, but there's some nice shots by Cory Spinks.
Spinks showing some signs now. But Judah doing most of the stalking. Under a minute left in the 8th. Oh, Spinks with a right. And Spinks just grabs hold.
Cory Spinks does not want to fight on the inside. That's why he grabbed him like that.
The fight changing dramatically at the end of round 7.
No punching.
And more good action here in the 8th. And the boxing match has suddenly turned into a fight.
Now Spinks has been able to land his own straight left hand as Judah comes in. And remember, he did knock Judah down in that last fight, though his knockdown in the 11th did not hurt Judah as much as Judah's hurt him.
Spinks was dazed in that 12th round of the first fight. Zab just didn't have enough time to polish him off.
And in this round, a very good beginning for Judah. Some good moments toward the end for Spinks, but I don't know if that was enough to win Spinks the round.
Things really getting interesting now.
Go the opposite way. You kicking his ass when you go that way.
You ain't got no problems with this dude. You ain't got no problems if you just do what you do.
We'll take a look at the end of round 7. Regular speed.
Now you heard the bell. It came just before he hit the canvas, so Armando Garcia probably correct. And here in the last round, again, Cory Spinks would get hurt as Judah pushed him back with that straight left hand. And that's where the head went into the mouth, and then Judah keeps punching. But yes, it was a clash of heads, or certainly from the standpoint of Spinks, he would say a headbutt to the mouth of Cory Spinks. That's the way Zab Judah, you know what? Zab Judah wants to get in there and make it a rough and tumble brawl. And remember that, you know, in the old days, he did all these Zab Judah fights. Crafty, clever boxer. Tonight, he's the bull.
And Spinks, the matador, round 9, scheduled for 12. Judah has taken control since the end of the 7th round, when he momentarily staggered Cory Spinks at the very end of the round.
Now, Cory Spinks is 5-0 in 12-rounders, and Judah is 4-1. The only loss came to Cory Spinks.
Big left hand over the top to the head of Judah, and that stopped Zab in his tracks.
Part of the reason more of those left hands haven't landed for Spinks is he's not set them up appropriately with his jab.
He's just flicking the jab. More of a range-finding jab, not doing much.
the movement of Cory Spinks not as crisp as it was a couple of rounds ago.
Perhaps that display at the end of the 7th round had something to do with it.
Stop punching. Step back. Step back.
Again, Zab Judah, though, not super busy. Oh, another straight left hand there by Spinks, a counter shot.
Now his punch is looking a little more crisp, a little sharper. Spinks. Past the midway point, round 9. Look at the press row scoring. 2 out of 3 have Spinks ahead by 2. 1 has Judah up by 2.
And I have it dead even at 76. Good work by Cory Spinks. He's doing well in this round. This may be a round in which he can edge ahead, at least on my scorecard, maybe ahead as some of the press row people showed us on there.
Judah with the big left hand, now jumping all over Spinks. Down goes Spinks.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How we doing? Let's go.
This crowd is aghast. He's got 40 seconds. Round 9. Spinks in trouble. Judah landed another left. Blanketing Cory Spinks.
Stop punching. Step back. Let him go right now.
This crowd in disbelief. Missing with the left. Got him with the right. The rope holding him up. Judah looking to Armando Garcia saying that should have been a knockdown because the rope held him up. It's all over. Zab Judah has come into St. Louis and upset Cory Spinks in Spinks' backyard. He stopped him in the 9th.
That's as dramatic an upset victory as you will ever see in boxing. Not that Zab Judah didn't have a chance to win this fight. He certainly did. But for Cory Spinks, just a terrible moment in front of this giant crowd.
Look of disappointment and astonishment at the same time on the face of Cory Spinks. And Zab Judah, the man from Brooklyn, has come to St. Louis. And he did what he said he would do. He would take the titles away from Cory Spinks. And now hoisted to the shoulders, he will exult and celebrate. And it will not be appreciated by the fans here in St. Louis. What drama. And Spinks still looks like he's in shock. Did somebody say trilogy?
Well, you could make the case for one, but certainly this was a more dramatic victory for this man.
Zab Judah, the slight underdog, comes into the hometown of Cory Spinks. Yeah, he's got one of those 3 belts there. Takes away the undisputed welterweight championship of the world here in St. Louis. Able to avenge his loss to Spinks in the first fight as he brings the belts home to Brooklyn. Cory Spinks still dismayed and shocked. A show of sportsmanship here as Judah and Spinks come together and embrace. No showboating, no shenanigans, all business by Zab Judah. And he got the job done. And he's back on top. Zab Judah. And he took it for 12 times less the money as Cory Spinks.
Well, Zab Judah didn't get the gloves he wanted, the Reyes gloves, but it didn't matter, did it? He did plenty of power punching with the Grants. That's the left hand that put Cory Spinks in big trouble. Judah thinking perhaps there should have been a knockdown or even a stoppage shortly after this and looked for the referee to stop it. There, of course, was the first knockdown. And just a barrage of punches. And, you know, when Zab Judah has someone hurt, he has such quick hands and he's such an accurate puncher that he's going to get them down. He did get Cory Spinks down. There was about 40 seconds left in this round, as you pointed out. So there was enough time for him to get the job done. But we look at that knockdown again. It was the straight left hand, which has been the bugaboo for Spinks when he fights Judah. And yet another one that sends him reeling backwards. He may have come up from the junior welterweight ranks, but Judah brought some power with him. Too much power for Cory Spinks in this fight. Spinks would go down. He would get up, of course, beat the count. But with 40 seconds left in this round, he would not be able to sustain. And we see the end of the fight here. There's that right hook, trying the right hook, and again the straight left hand by Judah, and he had been nailing Spinks with these punches. No complaints from the corner of Cory Spinks. And for Zab Judah, this may not be the location where he wanted to celebrate, but you know what? Internally, he's happy whatever these fans are thinking, and he celebrates.
Zab Judah evens the score.
Daddy is there.
Judah surrounded by family and friends.
And what a remarkable comeback for Judah, who only a year or so ago really was maybe by some considered lost in the sport of boxing.
All right, Al, let's get the official word from our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 2 minutes, 49 seconds in round number 9. Our referee in charge, Armando Garcia, stops the contest. The winner by way of technical knockout. He is the new undisputed welterweight champion of the world, Zab Super Judah.
Now fitting on Super Bowl weekend, Super Judah gets it done. In a very disappointing night, Cory Spinks getting a hug from Papa Leon, the former heavyweight champion.
Somewhat reminiscent of when Michael Nunn lost in his hometown of Iowa to James Toney.
Steve Farhood getting in place to interview the new champion. As you can see, Zab Judah, a packed ring. Standing by with the new champion is our Steve Farhood. Steve, take it.
Zab, why was it different this time?
I was determined, man. I was hungry. They put me in the backyard they put my back against the wall, man. First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and Lord and my God, man, because without him, I couldn't have made it, man. That's number one.
He boxed and moved a lot more. You said you'd be more aggressive. Was your aggressiveness the reason you were able to land so many more shots?
Well, first of all, you know what I'm saying? I know Cory Spinks is a great boxer. You know what I'm saying? You could tell, like, in one of the rounds, he kind of got a little edge up on me, but I was determined, man. I told Don back in Florida training camp, I said, Don, I'm going to St. Louis, put it anywhere, and I'm knocking him out. I'm not going to win. I'm going to knock him out. Always, if you look at my press, I've been telling everybody, I'm going to knock him out. No